Our next speaker is Dr. Dolly Chandra. She'll be speaking on surgical approach for aging face, upper and the lower lid blepharoplasty. She is a gold medalist, ophthalmologist. She is fellow Rotary Eye Institute, Navsari, Agrawal Eye Hospital, Chennai, Arvind Eye Hospital, Coimbatore. She is she has got international fellowship and training and many awards and honors in her name. She is a member of various ophthalmic societies and was an office bearer as secretary, and
Sorry?
the stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Very interesting session, and Purva, wonderful to hear you speak. So I'm talking about this surgical approach for aging face. Before that, I thank the organizing committee for having an eye surgeon in their meeting. So the eye is a component of facial aesthetics, and blepharoplasty can play a vital positive role in facial harmony and perception of aging. And it is the most commonly performed facial cosmetic procedures. In the field of facial surgery, the ophthalmologist jumps in to do a little bit around the eyes too. And also the tumors and the hemifacial spasms and all we manage with Botox. So symptoms of around the eyes are tired looking eyes, excess skin, droopy eyelids, circles around the eyes, which may benefit from blepharoplasty. It can also be combined with other facial and skin rejuvenation procedures like brow and mid-face lift, lasers, chemical resurfacing, Botox, and fillers. So an overview, it plays a vital role, as mentioned earlier, in facial rejuvenation, and they are indicated for treatment of excess skin or to remove the orbital fat or reposition the orbital fat where there is a bulging of the orbital fat because of the atrophic orbital septum. A thorough preoperative medical ophthalmic history along with a detailed cutaneous and eye examination is a must. But dry eyes, any surgeries, 6 months around the orbit or refractive surgery, patient should be rejected from blepharoplasty. It can be performed by many operative approaches. We perform these standard skin-only upper blepharoplasties, and in lower eyelid, we prefer nowadays to use the conjunctival approach. So, as mentioned, preoperative evaluation of a patient with a complete history is very important. Even Schimmer's test, the LPS function should be also checked, the Bell's phenomena also should be checked, and your ocular movements also should be checked. Assessment of the upper lid, we see dermatochalasis where there's hooding of the eyes, there is drooping of the eyelids, there is excessive fat bulging through the skin in the eyelid. So this creates a fold of excessive upper eyelid skin. The assessment with the patient's old photographs also aids in the surgeon in restoring the youthful look. I hope Purva's video is shown to us. Henna? So the typical aging changes, as mentioned, you can see there is a prominent orbital hollow and lower eyelid fat prolapse also seen in the lower lid. The assessment of the lower eyelid is also important to see the skin excess, the herniation of the fat from the medial, central, and lateral fat pads. The lower eyelid becomes prominent in the up gaze, the fat pads, and less prominent in the down gaze. The downward displacement of the lateral canthus also should be mentioned in your clinical evaluation of the patient. The rim posterior displacement of the rim also should be noted, and the type of eyes also should be noted along with the malar anatomy. The brow also should be evaluated before you take a patient for upper or lower lid blepharoplasty, and it should be compared to in association to the superior orbital rim. Asymmetry in the upper lower eyelids and the brow position is common and should be recognized and treated individually. What sort of anesthesia should we use? I prefer general anesthesia or IV short anesthesia along with lignocaine, and where we are only doing a skin resection. in ectropion, entropion, and some lower lid blepharoplasty where we do not have to reposition the fat or remove the fat. We prefer to do local with sedation. But other invasive procedure, I would advise general anesthesia. So we use a 2% xylocaine. We can use a combination of bupivacaine. I prefer not to use epinephrine in elderly group. Skin incision is made with a BP knife handle or with a radio frequency monopolar cautery. You can use bipolar also, but monopolar is now the trend. Conservative fat excision. When we were training, we were taught to remove the orbital fat so that it doesn't bulge again and repair the orbital septum also. But nowadays, we reposition and we use a more conservative approach to fat excision. And all the compartments should be assessed. Surgical technique should be understood, and the retroorbicularis ocular fat, that is roof, can be assessed beneath the lateral orbicularis oculi, overlying the superior orbital rim. The resection has been described to help decrease the heaviness of the upper lid and the lateral brow. So this also can be repositioned, and then we can stitch it with 2 to 3 inabsorbable suture to the periosteum. These sutures may result in overcorrection initially, leading to lag of ophthalmos, but it recovers. So we take on upper eyelid blepharoplasty. We do it from the cutaneous side. And these are the pre-operative and post-operative photos of upper lid blepharoplasty. So this is the upper eyelid blepharoplasty where we mark the eye and is performed to leave a 20 millimeter vertical length of the upper eyelid. Skin marking is done and subcutaneous injection of local anesthetic is given, and then the skin incision is given with a radio frequency probe. And as we further get involved, we remove the excess fat, we repair in layers with absorbable sutures, and then we can repair the skin either with glue, which I do not prefer. I prefer continuous 10-0 or 8-0 silk sutures or a Vicryl suture, which is absorbable. This is the post and operative picture and the pre-operative picture of a patient. So what post-operative care do you give after upper eyelid blepharoplasty? Some of them where we do excessive fat excision and they have excessive subcutaneous fat, they require ice packs on the surgical site minimum for 3 days to minimize the post-operative swelling, the bruising, the ecchymosis. And a topical antibiotic ointment should be given. Non-absorbable sutures, if used on the skin, can be removed after a week. What are the complications? There could be lid retraction, there could be a scleral show, lag of ophthalmos. Sometimes if we handle a muscle, there could be acquired diplopia or a nerve of the superior division of the third ophthalmic. We could end up with a corneal exposure if we touch the trigeminal sensory branch. So the most common complication of cosmetic surgery is failure to meet the patient's expectation. And pre-op room, it is most important to do the counseling and identify and give reasonable expectations so that post-operative period, the patient is fully satisfied. Selection of patient is must. So lower eyelid blepharoplasty, lot of controversies because there is a skin approach and a conjunctival approach. Conjunctival approach doesn't give a scar. Aging of the lower eyelid can lead to orbicularis laxicity or hypertrophy. Herniation of orbital fat can be associated. Canthal laxicity, malar festoons, crow's feet, and periocular wrinkles. These crow's feet and periocular wrinkles should be managed with Botox, which should be explained preoperatively to the patient. Anatomically, relaxation of the orbital septum, orbicularis oculi muscle, and skin can cause protrusion of the intraorbital fat leading to eyelid bags. And therefore, lower lid rejuvenation, though complex, can give very good satisfactory result if planned and operated well. Again, we use lignocaine. Surgeries performed through an incision made 4 to 6 millimeter below the lid margin with lower eyelid retractors attached with the assistant's hands. A sharp dissection or a radiofrequency monopolar cautery can be used. Gentle pressure on the eyeball prolapses the fat compartment and aids in identification of the medial and the central islands of fat. I'll go to the pictorial representation. And so this is how we plan it transconjunctivally. And ultimately, we suture it in layers. If we need to reposit the small amount of fat to give a better contour, we do it with the absorbable sutures. And this is the end of the surgery, and we see the contours after the surgery has finished. This is the post-op pictures of a transconjunctival lower lid blepharoplasty, and you can see that the face does change and it makes you look younger. And it improves the personality of the patient. Transcutaneous, we use a pinch technique with a forceps just below the ciliary margin, about 3 to 4 millimeters below. The redundant skin is removed in a semi-lunar crescent manner. If required, we remove the fat from if the orbital septum is too thin, and reposit also the fat. There can be severe complications of lower lid blepharoplasty, especially if we are using a lot of injections in and around the eye. So it should be better superficial injection up till the tarsals should be given. And these could result in even visual loss to the patient. The other common findings are post-op complications could be scleral show, lag of ophthalmos, corneal exposure, and acquired strabismus if we handle the inferior oblique while removing the fat. So lower eyelid fat repositioning is very popular nowadays. It helps to maintain the advancement of the orbital fat beyond the inferior orbital rim underneath the orbicularis oculi, helps to give a better cosmetic appearance. And it also creates the tear trough deformity, which includes orbital fat removal, fat injections, and other adjuvant processes. Combination therapies have also been done, and it requires a good hospital setup to do all the combination therapy. In the courses that I've attended, people have removed thigh fat, stomach fat, and put it on the face, put it on the forehead, and done brow lifts. There are extensive surgeries, and in elderly people, we require to have an ICU support also. So I conclude. Sorry, time is out. Thank you for giving me this honor. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Very well explained blepharoplasty, upper and lower eyelid. Thank you so much. You have given a vision to us.
This was
that
something new for all
this
of
is something
us.
new for all of us.